If I told you, if I told you just half of everything I've always wanted to.
Welcome back, Camily. A while ago, I did a draw with me type of video, and I really enjoyed it. So today, I wanted to make some art and just kind of talk to you guys. Most of my videos, I go into it with a topic, a specific thing that's been on my mind that I want to talk about. But I thought it'd be fun to just come on here and just kind of rant and say whatever comes to mind and just chat while I doodle. I was definitely like an art kid during middle school and high school, and I'm just now coming back to that after like 3 years of not really making any art. It's been really hard for me. I feel like I was much more creative back then, and I always like had an idea of what I wanted to draw. And now when I sit down and I'm like, I don't know what to draw, it can feel like I just used up all of my creativity and have nothing left. But it's really just a matter of like practice and just kind of getting it back. Today I'm drinking a little kombucha, blueberry acai flavor with some CBD. If I can open it. I guess I'll give you guys a little sketchbook tour. This is a new sketchbook and I've only used it a few times. I think in my last draw with me video, I drew the first thing in here, like used the first page. So you guys already saw that. I drew this. It's about grief and it's based off of a lyric from one of my favorite songs. I never got around to coloring it. I like started, but yeah. And since then I haven't really like sat down and tried to like complete one page. It's been a lot of doodles since then. This I did with my sister. We just kind of passed it back and forth and we drew little blobs and then tried to like color on top of the blobs. And then this, I just like sketched some fruit at the farmer's market. This is based off of a real pea that I got. I don't like this one, so I'm not gonna show it. And then again, just like fruit and random things. This one I was just like making art with the kids and they were mostly drawing. And I asked them what I should draw and they said things and I drew it. So obviously they told me to draw a bear. This is another one I did based off of some lyrics. A song called Doing All the Things I Used to Do with People, Part 2. And it's just about being really depressed and laying in bed and your room becoming like your home and your grave. And so it's just kind of like a messy room, and then I just like wrote the lyrics to the song on top. This, I was just trying to like do something with my hands, and it's really not great, but you know. And here we are. That's all I've done. Today I feel inspired to draw like some soup, some alphabet soup. So like a bowl and like a spoon, and then I wanted to like write something in the soup. I'm kind of limited on my supplies because I went ahead and started packing for our move. And I packed up most of my art supplies. If I hadn't, I'd probably be painting right now because I much prefer painting. But I have some colorful Sharpies, some pens and pencils. I really don't have the materials I would want to draw some soup. I feel like I need like an orangish red, tomato soup colored pencil for that, because I think trying to do that with marker would not be the move. My favorite thing to do in class when I was younger is just fill a whole page with like random patterns and little doodles and quotes and lyrics. So I think I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna do a bunch and just try and fill a whole page is my goal. I would always start just with an eyeball because, you know, drawing eyeballs is always fun. So that's where we're gonna begin. Sharpie pen, classic. In my last video, I talked about how I'm trying to start going on medication again, specifically for depression. And for weeks now, I've been trying to find a doctor, trying to find someone to prescribe that to me. I've been on medication before, and I already have an idea of what kind I would want to start and at what dose. And the healthcare around where I live, especially for mental health, is just really bad. Like, there's just not a lot of resources whatsoever, and I just keep being thrown around from doctor to doctor and call this number, call that number. Like, I don't know why it's been so hard. I've, like, scheduled several different appointments and things just keep going wrong. So that's been really frustrating lately. I'm trying to start before I move, because I move in less than 2 months. And obviously I'm going to have to switch doctors once I move. So I would have loved to have started already, because it takes a minute to kick in. So that way by the time I get there and go to my new doctor, I could say, hey, like, I've been trying this on this dosage for this long, and we can just kind of go from there, rather than starting from square one and having to, like, wait for it to kick in and tell them how I've been feeling on that dosage. And, like, honestly, I need it now. Like, I'm going on it now because I need it right now. As soon as it can start taking effect, the better. But at this rate, I just really don't know if I'm gonna be able to get on meds before I move. I might just have to wait. But I'm getting really excited for this new chapter. There's still a lot of anxiety that comes with it, but I know a lot of great things will come of it too. Like, for example, better healthcare. I'm someone who has moved around a lot growing up, and I'm very used to just kind of starting over every, like, 2 years or so. And that's pretty much the way I've lived my whole entire life. I've never really stayed somewhere for longer than that. And I've always kind of appreciated the fresh start and the clean slate, you know? Especially kind of being, like, a troubled kid. By the time I moved, every time I was like, thank God, because I've kind of messed up my reputation around here. Which, like, to some extent, yeah, I guess. A lot of that was due to just, like, rumors being spread about me and whatnot. But I think it was less that, like, oh, my reputation is ruined, and more of, like, I've outgrown the version of me that I was when I first got here. And I hate that these people knew that version of me and have that version of me in their heads. I want to go somewhere new where the person that I used to be no longer exists for anyone. So I spent a lot of time just, like, running away from my past self, and moving a lot, like, enabled that. It's really hard for me to imagine growing up around the same people my whole life. And I know there's a lot of people who that is their experience. It is pretty typical to go to school with the same people and live in the same town for your whole childhood. But to me, that just sounds pretty awful. I mean, I imagine if that had been my experience, maybe I would have had more time to find a solid friend group and stick with those friends and feel loved and accepted for every version of me that I've been, that they've watched me be. Because leaving the friends that I have now and the people that I have now here, they know me and they know who I used to be before I became who I am now. And I much prefer who I am now to who I was. And with some people around here, there is a sense of, like, oh, they knew me. They knew me right after Landon died, and when I was just so in shock and so not myself. And then through my, like, rebellious phase of just, like, acting out and, like, wanting to be a teenager again, not in a good way, and really just coping badly. And then through me going and getting help and kind of being where I am now and where I have been for the last, like, year almost. But the people who have seen it through and who have been right by my side every step of the way, like, if they can love and support that version of myself that I am not really fond of, then that really says a lot about them and how much they care about me. There's a sense of security there. There's no question about their love and their loyalty to me. It's very clear how much they care. And the thought of making new friends and being around people who haven't seen all that I've been through, it's kind of sad. A lot of the appreciation that I have for who I am now comes directly from everything that I've been through. And that in itself is kind of sad. Like, the reason I have self-love now is because I'm not who I was And I've been working on trying to love all past versions of myself and just have self-acceptance and compassion for the girl that I was before. And I don't know, so much of who I am now is because of who I was. I wouldn't be me without the past experiences that have kind of defined me, my defining moments. So in moving away from here, there's a sense of kind of letting go. I don't want to carry it all with me and have that be who I am, because I am who I am now. The context of my past definitely helps bring some understanding. And like I said, just kind of a deeper appreciation, because if this is who I've always been, me in my current state, then that's just who I would have always been. No one would know any different. But to know where I came from and all that it took for me to get here, seeing firsthand how much I relied on other people and now seeing my independence, and seeing how defensive I used to be, and now seeing the way I just kind of let things roll off my back because I know myself and I know my truth. There's no need to convince anyone else of that. Looking back and seeing how far I've come, that's how I stay grounded, and that's where I've been able to find self-love and self-acceptance. Whenever I'm feeling like I'm not doing good enough, I look back at how I used to be doing and how I used to handle things, and I can say, at least I'm not there, and at least I've grown out of that, and I'm growing towards bettering myself more and more every day. And that's got me a long way in my own self-love journey. I'm trying to stop thinking like that, because it feels like the only way I can feel good about where I'm at now is by shitting on my past self, looking down at her and telling her how worthless she was, how much of a mess and how stupid and ignorant she was. When in reality, I was really young and I'm still really young. And I really wasn't that bad. It's not like I was a bad person. It's not like I hurt the people around me intentionally. Anything I don't like about my past self, I can pretty much relate it back to my own insecurities. I was just being an insecure, scared little child who didn't know how to handle the situations she was put in, or that she put herself in sometimes. I'd say my biggest fault back then is that I thought I had it all figured out when I didn't. And I was really stubborn. And I feel for her. That version of Cameron. All versions of Cameron that I've been. Even what I deem like the worst version of me. I accept her and all her flaws. And that's not true all the time. Sometimes it takes a little more effort to see things from that perspective. And that's definitely been one of the hardest things over the last year as I've been really trying to work on myself. It's just self-compassion, because hating a past version of myself is still hating myself, and that's not productive or good. I don't want to love myself because I'm not who I used to be. I want to love myself because I love myself and who I am, regardless of what it took for me to get here and where I came from. So when I imagine meeting new people and kind of presenting them the me that I am now, currently. Because I tend to overshare and just kind of lay it all out, all past versions of me and everything I've been through and everything that's made me me. But I want to stop doing that, and I want to make new friendships that are just new, that are just this version of me. Let them get to know that first. Because people don't need to know how shitty I think I was back then in order to appreciate me now. People can just appreciate me now because they appreciate me now. And I tell myself that, but it's hard to really believe it sometimes. I think moving away from this place with these people who, as much as I love them, hold memories of past versions of me, I think that will really allow me to just let it go. I don't need to carry that with me into this new life I'm trying to build for myself. I can look back and use that past version as a reference point when I'm feeling any kind of self-doubt, but I don't need to hang on to that for dear life as some kind of proof. Me choosing to wake up and be the best version of myself every day. That's proof enough. I've also kind of felt a need to reinvent myself even further than I already have in order to be a version of myself that I deem worthy enough to present to these new people, as if where I'm at right now isn't good enough. When I first decided that I was going to move like 8 months ago, I kind of felt this sense of urgency, like I need to grow and evolve in all these ways by then. I hoped to be way past any of my issues by now, so I can really take this clean slate and use it right this time. But I've come to realize I will never be past all of my issues. This best version of myself that I want to be able to show to all these new people, that doesn't exist. When it comes to bettering myself, there's really not an end goal. There's not going to be a point where I'm like, no, yeah, like I'm perfect now. I've worked through all my things and I always have a tight grip on my emotions and I never let that spill on anyone I care about. That's just life. That's just how life works. If you're going to have people in your life, sometimes you're going to hurt them and sometimes they're going to hurt you. Because at the end of the day, we're all just emotional little babies. We all say things we don't mean. It's impossible to live a life filled with connection without never hurting anyone else's feelings. We're all flawed, and that's what makes us real. And if I wait till I'm so emotionally secure that I could never mess up or say the wrong thing, I'll never get there and I'll never connect with anyone. I definitely tend to isolate in order to kind of protect the people around me because I don't want to feel like a burden to them. I don't want to force my emotional baggage onto them. I don't want to ruin their mood with my negativity. But then I think about it the other way around, and if one of my friends is going through a hard time, I would hope that they feel like they can reach out to me. Obviously, I feel very sad for them when they're going through something hard, but I know it makes both of us feel better to be able to help a bit, to be able to talk, to be that person they go to. Because I know how much I need that when I'm going through it. So I really don't need to protect everyone else from me. And I don't need to be completely emotionally stable in order to be worthy of connection. With the hand that I've been dealt and just dealing with mental illness that will probably never fully go away, I'll never be that emotionally stable. I'll never not need that kind of emotional support and connection. All of my best friendships are based around emotional connection. That's what's real, and that's the kind of friendships I want to make when I move. I don't want a bunch of surface level friendships. And that means being emotionally vulnerable and real. Obviously with boundaries at first, and like I said, I don't need to overshare to every person. I need to protect myself a bit and make sure I'm being vulnerable with the right people. But yeah, I've had to kind of let go of this idea that I'd be all better by now. I've been going to therapy intensively for the last 9 months. And I've been journaling every day and doing the work. And it hasn't been the type of work that I thought it would be. I'm at a phase where it's less about trying to fix all this shit and meet these unrealistic expectations that I have for myself, and more just trying to accept it for what it is and accept that this is where I'm at right now. And a lot of the things that I'm trying to fix about myself, there's no magic fix. It just takes time and living through certain experiences and making baby steps in the right direction. I've been trying to give myself credit where it's due and just kind of tell myself, at least I'm aware of the things that need fixing and I'm trying to fix them, because so many people are so unaware of the ways that they could be working on themselves and trying to be better. A lot of people think they're perfect and that they have it all figured out. Having awareness is really hard though. With awareness comes a level of guilt and shame. So like I said, it's just been about accepting it, because I spent a lot of time just feeling like, why am I this way? I hate that I'm this way. I hate these things about myself. And I'll sit there and be thinking like, why am I like this? And then I trace it back and it's like, oh, it makes perfect sense that I'm like this because of everything I've been through. That is why I'm like this. And I'm aware of it, and I'm trying to do better, and I'll catch myself doing something that doesn't align with who I want to be. And I make note of it, and I forgive myself for it, and I move on. So yeah, there's just a lot right now about who I am and who I was that I'm working really hard to accept. I stopped drawing. I've just been talking. This is all I've got. We got a little cat paw, an hourglass, a ghost, a cup of tea, an eye, and some trees upside down. I'll come back to that page eventually and continue the doodles. Thanks for listening to me vent. I think I might do this more often, even if I'm not posting it. It's like free therapy. I could just talk myself through it. Honestly, that's something that my therapist has said to me before is, it seems like I can come to a lot of conclusions on my own. Work through my own feelings about things and be compassionate towards myself, which is the goal of therapy really, is to get to a place where you can manage things on your own. And sometimes it just takes talking out loud. Well, that's all for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video, Camille.